First business mastery live shoot. Right? Just instilling confidence in us.
That's right. Well, future ones will be pre-recorded. We wanted to do this one live based off of this experience. But here we go, ready to go. So welcome to another episode of CR Realty Business Mastery. We are here today with Natalie Schollard and Sunny Pander. And today we're talking about starting from zero. So these are two wonderful individuals who started from zero in their business, brand new in the industry, and found some success, not without some, road bumps along the way, but we're super excited to have them. So thank you both for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here. Well, let's get started with, what did you guys do before you got into real estate? Natalie, kick us off.
Okay, so I spent 14 years actually with the Real Estate Council of Alberta. I was their manager of communications for most of that time. I have a journalism degree, so that's where I landed, learned about real estate.
You might recognize Natalie from such publications as
Rika's
quarterly newsletter.
Yeah. Case summaries, yeah, decisions, yeah, surveys, all of those good things, news releases, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, what did you do before that?
Okay, before that, so I have a journalism degree. Frankly, before that, there wasn't a lot of jobs. I was there for 14 years. So
wow,
I spent,
right.
I was only out of university, I guess, for 2 years before I joined Rika. I worked for a small agricultural communications company in Calgary. I have a journalism degree from Carleton, and I don't speak French.
Great.
So I moved to Alberta.
So you've been in the real estate space for quite some time.
I guess I was 24 when I started at Rika.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sunny?
Well, I was in banking for a little over 8 years before I got into real estate. So I didn't have a lot of experience with real estate itself, but a lot of the background stuff, like mortgages and lending and things like that. And kind of what else, I guess that was it. That's what I did before.
Cool. And what made you want to take the leap into real estate?
Honestly, I was tired of banking. So it's a very tough industry with the amount of pressure that they put on you for sales and not a lot of reward that comes with it.
Right.
So to me, the most important thing was having time and being rewarded for your hard work. So
So well said.
I was tired of the 9 to 5 with like a ceiling of salary.
So you're like 9 to 9 is a lot better in real estate now.
Well, if I want to do if I want to do 9 to 9 this week, and then I want to do 9 to noon for the following week,
totally,
it's in my control, right?
Yeah, and it is nice to know that if you're going to do 9 to 9, you're actually getting paid for the extra hours, right? Like that's
for sure.
That's reward for your time, which is a bit different. Natalie, what about you? What was your motivation to get into real estate?
To get into well, I kind of felt like I was in real estate. I mean, the fact is I was very familiar with the industry.
Yeah. So the sales part of it. What made you say, I want to sell real estate?
I like it. Like, I think it was something I always wanted to. In fact, before I started at Rika, the communications company that I worked for had a brokerage next door. And so we're talking almost 20 years ago. I walked into the brokerage just kind of being like, oh, what do you guys do? Is this? And I was 25 years old. Like, I didn't know. And it wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
And 5 years later, it wasn't the right time. And 10 years later, it wasn't the right time. I'm not still convinced that this was the right time. But I like houses and I like people.
Yeah.
And I do like what Sunny said. If I work more, I benefit more.
That's right.
And if I work less, that's for me to decide. So it gave me a little bit more control, but still kept me in the space that I enjoy, people, real estate.
I love when you can do that, when you can layer on to previous experience. And even lots of people in banking or the service industry, if you can pull those pieces over, then it can be a great aspect. So, Sunny, tell us, starting in real estate, what was your goal for your business? When you first started off, what was your goal? And, or actually, let's start with this. Did you have a goal? And would you be willing to share it with us when you first started into the business?
For sure. So I set a really high goal for myself. I told myself in the first year, I want to sell 1 house per month.
Okay, yep.
It was a very, very tough goal to achieve, but I constantly looked back at my goal sheet, and when the end of the year came up, I noticed actually I hit that target. So,
Congratulations.
Yeah, nice work.
but like along that year, it wasn't like every month it was just a house sale, right? So there was a lot of challenges because, I went through like a 4-month spell of not selling anything. But then that 5th month came and I had 5 deals that went through all at once.
Yes.
So it was really just kind of having a process and sticking to it. Really believing the system, right?
Natalie, same thing. Did you have a goal when you first started off, and could you share it with us?
Okay, so when I really first started off, my first goal, because I hadn't looked long term, my first goal was get a client.
Yeah.
And then it was get that first sale, just get that one under your belt, and it's probably going to be a buyer. And then it was, okay, you got that, and then I was like, I want a listing, and I want to sell a listing. So I had those little things that happened along the way. Once that first client, that first purchase, that first sale, then I looked towards, so what do I want to do this year? Because I did what I said I wanted to do. And so actually, my number is the same as Sunny. So 2019 will be my first full calendar year licensed, and I would like 12 ends in that year. And much also like Sunny, I had 4 months of being licensed without anything. So that means if I'm hitting 12, I need to do more than 1 a month for the rest of the time. And so that is my goal for this year.
I think one of the things that people forget about sometimes is that you set a goal, and it could be aspirational, it could be way up here, but you can't just start. It's like, I want to do 1 a month. Well, you're starting at 0, so how do you just next month say, or this month coming up, the next 30 days, now I'm going to hit my goal, I want to do 2 a month.
Yeah.
Like, how do you just start? Like, you need to build to that, and that can take some time. I mean, there's every once in a while an easy one will fall into your lap, but you need to have it where it's like, okay, I'm going to do 2 a month, but I'm going to start that in 3 months from now to give myself time to ramp up to get the speed to get up to that. We set a goal with our team for a very aspirational goal, but we had never come anywhere close to that. So 2 months into it, we're already like 26 ends behind where we wanted to be, and we're like, boy, are we idiots, So anyways, that's my inspiring thought. Inspiring thought. Don't be an idiot.
Well, and obviously Sunny. So Sunny, I don't know if we mentioned this initially, but Sunny was Sierra's Rookie of the Year last year. So congratulations! Like, that is unbelievable. And Natalie, you are, I don't want to jinx anything, but probably on track to do very well yourself in your first year, which is why they're here and why we're having this conversation with them. So a little bit of context why we picked Sunny and Natalie to be here. But given the fact that things are going well, where did you learn, or what foundation books, courses did you take right off the bat? Because you mentioned, following the process was so important. So where did you learn what that process was? Did you pick something? Was it a coach? Was it certain classes? Was it a mentor in the business?
So I spent a lot of time at the beginning in CIR offices. So if I was going to work, doing some research on the market or what's kind of trending, I'd go to the Northwest office, I'd go to the Northeast office, and while I was working, you interact with other realtors.
Yeah.
And you pick their brain a little bit, and you really listen to these other experienced realtors. And I feel like I started building what I was going to do through other people, like other realtors. So I remember one of the most important pieces of advice was given to me by Dick, and he said, wake up in the morning and get dressed, because if you look good, you feel good, you're going to have a more productive day. So I've really taken that advice to heart, and you wake up, throw on a suit, and you never know who you're going to run into that day.
I love that. In this business,
I love that too.
when you talk about flexible hours, it's easy to not wake up and get dressed.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just be like, today we were just talking about putting on hats, right? Like our favorite days are, well, girls, my hair is not too difficult to do most days. But it's like the best days where you can just throw a ball cap on. But when you get up, you get in a costume for what you want to do. You feel like doing it.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. So you go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you're right, even as far as striking up professional conversations, if you're in track pants and a t-shirt and you're in the Starbucks lineup, right, like, you're probably going to be less mentally available to yourself to be able to have a professional conversation because you just wouldn't see yourself in that state of mind necessarily.
So
That's great.
So really just leaving those four walls of your home, being dressed, heading out, and at the beginning, you don't have a lot of sales to when you're talking to clients, being like, I've done this and that, and this is what my process is. So if you look very professional, at least that's a good starting point.
I like that. Make the most of what you can make the most of. Natalie, what about you? Your foundational blocks.
So keeping in mind that my background is a little bit different
Of
because
course.
I knew the industry and I knew a lot of people in it. And so I guess one of the biggest things I did was talk to everybody I could possibly talk to. So even before I chose CIR, I met up with a few brokers, and talked to them. I was trying to find out about their brokerage, but it also gave me a chance to feel out how they got into the industry and what they did that worked for them and what they didn't do. I learned a whole bunch of terminology that 14 years at RECA hadn't given me. Sphere of influence. It was not something that I knew, and I realized pretty quickly it was going to become important. My partner used to be a real estate broker, so I had some advice at home in terms of how to get started. I did do the practicum program through CIR and did the bachelor's and then the practicum, and those have both been helpful. So again, I was seeking out the stuff that I didn't know as much as I knew what the rules were. I didn't know about marketing in the way that I do now and that networking component and that. So it was soaking up as much as I could. I knew that in my neighborhood, I'd like to do a lot of work in my neighborhood. There is a CIR agent who does a lot of work in my neighborhood. I reached out to her before I even got my license, and she met me for coffee, which was great, and so also speaks volumes for CIR. I wasn't even licensed yet.
Little goosebumps. That's so nice.
And we had coffee together, and there was nothing in it for her. It was all about me and trying to sponge as much as I could. So taking the PD opportunities that have been there and talking to people as much as possible and asking questions.
Well, Natalie, like Sunny, and I know that you work more out of the South office, but you have done a really good job of same thing, like getting dressed in the morning, showing up to the office and having conversations with people. Like, I see you here a lot too. Do you find that that's made a big difference, just physically going to the office once in a while?
Yeah, definitely. I need to get out. And frankly, I probably wasn't as good at it in the early days. I had a 9-to-5 job for 100 years, or it felt like 100 years, and I've got 2 kids. And there was an element of, I don't have to go to work today. Yes. And I would work.
It's a novelty, right? It's
yeah,
like
there was a novelty.
Yes.
I would be working from home. I would be on my computer. I'd be making phone calls, looking at listings, reaching out to people, but I wasn't necessarily leaving the house as much as I needed to be. So that was something that there was a brief period of time where I was it was a novelty.
Yeah.
That wore off.
Yeah.
It did wear off. And definitely getting dressed and out there, I need to do that.
My novelty
Still.
wore off when I realized my bank account wasn't reflecting my.
Yes,
You're like,
yes,
oh,
yeah.
wait a minute. This
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
you reap what you sow. It's
For sure.
Very truthful. Well, let's change gears and let's talk about the business generation side of things. Because here's one of the things I want people to pay attention to. If you've been in the business for 15 years, you're having a slow market through 2019, 2018, whatever it happened to be, or just in general. I mean, real estate is cyclical, even just economies, stuff like that. But here's 2 realtors that came in, and I like to say it this way: they ate your lunch. In a lot of cases, because they didn't have a client, they didn't know, and they went and sat that open house that you chose not to sit, and they picked up a client from there, or they found somebody, and they had their own sphere of influence, but lots of stuff we'll find out, comes from outside of that, and I just want to pay attention to this because it's like, well, you were sitting at home and not dressed, or well, some people were, you had to eat somebody's lunch. Like you literally had to, those people were going to buy from somebody, but now you were in the business and you ended up getting those transactions. So I just want to pay attention here to things like, if they did the deals, you could have done those deals. What deals can you do today so that somebody else doesn't do them? That's sort of my lesson for experienced realtors that are in a bit of a funk right now. It's like, don't get your lunch eaten. Get out there and do something. So, you lunch money thieves, let's take us through what approach did you take to generate business and what worked well for you? Natalie will kick us off.
I did open houses every Saturday and Sunday for, I think, so my first day licensed was October 1st. So the first weekend that I was licensed was Thanksgiving weekend. And so that would have been a good time to sit and say, it's Thanksgiving. And my approach that weekend was, if somebody is at an open house on Thanksgiving Sunday, they're a buyer. Like, this is somebody who is
Totally.
committed because they've left their turkey dinner or their family time to go look at a house.
Smart.
So I think that listing, and it was a relatively new listing with a CIR agent, and I think I had 10 groups through, both Saturday and Sunday that weekend. And I worked every Saturday and Sunday, I think from October through till Christmas.
Wow.
Because I didn't have any clients who were shopping on weekends, and that has happened more since Christmas, that I'm not open housing every week. But definitely for me, open houses have been huge. And I think half of the transactions I've done, or people that I'm actively working with right now, have been open house pickups as opposed to my
Wow.
existing network.
Wow. So continue on with that for a second here. Have you picked up some now from your existing network, or have there been other things? Have there referrals? Has someone referred? Like, tell us about the rest of them.
So my second deal was somebody I met at an open house, and I am currently working with somebody he referred to me. So I've got my first referral from somebody that I didn't even know when I got my license. This isn't somebody I knew from my previous life or anything.
Yeah.
This is somebody that I met in November, worked with him until he bought in February, and now his neighbor is buying. And so I am now working with her. So about half have been existing network, and about half have been people that I didn't know 6 months ago.
Right.
You know, I just met with a brand new agent on Thursday of last week, and he was, asking a couple of questions, kind of what should I be doing. And his massive strategy is open houses, and he has this absolutely great plan for it, and the way he's going to follow up with people, which is so cool. And I love it because we've been to the same things, but every conference we've ever been to where you have like the 1,000 transaction person a year on stage who's been in the business forever and like now runs a 100-person team, and they're just crushing it. And you ask them these same questions, like, how did you get started? And they're all like, I did as many open houses as I possibly could. And there's so many realtors like, I hate open houses. Like, I don't want to do them.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend the weekends. Like, it's not my thing. But there's never been somebody ever, and the generations are shifting, but who sat on stage and was like, I put $500 a month into web leads, right? Like, and this is how I got here today. Like, those stories are so rare, and it's so easy to throw money at the process instead of time at the process. But it seems like time just really pays off, even though it's a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. Good for you, Sonny.
So my biggest strategy was working from the inside out. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money on marketing or throwing out bus ads and things like that, because money's tight at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
like it's
absolutely, and that stuff's expensive.
So with getting licensed and everything else, so you just don't want to put in too much extra money at that beginning phase. So I started with my brothers, my cousins, my friends, working at the bank at the beginning. I had a couple good friends that were still working at the bank, so trying to get a little bit of business from them. And that's where it all actually started. So my first deal was actually my brother, who was living at my house. Right?
Nice.
So,
Perfect. Get out.
so I was like, hey, now's a perfect time to start looking for a house. And
Excuse me.
so we did that deal, and I ended up making a really good connection with the other realtor. And moving forward, I was able to pick his brain a little bit, and I have definitely found that it's not just building clients. Like, it's so important to build good relationships with other realtors.
Oh yeah.
Because other realtors are working with so many buyers that if you come across a really nice property, something that's special, unique, and you can shop it around to some of these other realtors, you might be able to pull a buyer out of there.
What was your approach
clever,
to these people when you worked from the inside out? What was your approach to talking to people about your business?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people are nervous because they think, oh, I'm going to be that sleazy salesperson, the one that's hucking up business cards at every single party. And you can do that in a tasteful way. What was your approach to doing that?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's right. And that's the perpetual fear, right?
Yeah. Let's not invite that person. He's going to be pitching to us all night. So I find people love talking about themselves. So if you ask them a lot of questions and they're just talking, you can kind of, put in that conversation. Now is a great time to buy, or or you could talk about a deal that you did recently, and kind of gain their interest in that sense.
Nice.
But really just letting people talk. And then when they feel comfortable to you, you can kind of add in there a little bit of value about where the market's at or what's going on. Because half the battle is just reminding people that you are a realtor.
Yeah.
So people forget, right? So if you've reminded them that you're a realtor and you've done this transaction recently, or this is what you're doing on the weekends, I'm doing open houses. I got this cool open house I'm sitting at. That's they'll remember that.
Natalie, you're nodding in agreement.
It was that point about reminding them that you're a realtor, because I don't think I'm a pushy person, and I don't think that I can convince somebody who doesn't want to buy or sell to buy or sell.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want is that when they're ready to buy or sell, they think of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to be for them. I don't care if you buy or sell today, but when it's time for you to, I'd really like your call.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll compete for your business. If you get the full presentation, and I'll tell you why I'm the right one for you. And stay in touch and having those relationships, because that person who isn't buying or selling today, but that there will be a baby, a marriage, a job change, something down the line, you want to continue having that connection. And for me, I guess I'm trying to play the long game. This is relationship building as opposed to about you doing a transaction today.
Yeah.
And so I really twigged when you made that, when Sunny said that it's being there when they need a realtor and reminding them that you're a realtor.
No, please, Sunny, go ahead.
Well, I've had incidents, I've had times where I'll be on Instagram or Facebook, and somebody that I have a good connection with that does mortgages or home inspections, and they'll post a really cool article online, and I'll remember, oh man, I totally forgot this person is a mortgage broker, or this person does house inspections.
Right.
And if I have a home inspection coming up, oh yes, I'm going to touch base with this person. So just reminding people.
Well, I think it's a good point of that for social media, because there are so many people that do a good job of staying front of mind, and there's a lot of people that do not. And considering how much time collectively we all spend on social media, if you're going to look at 5, 6, 7 people consistently, where once or twice a week there's a reminder of oh yeah, Sunny, he's a realtor, he works there, versus let's say, Natalie, you don't do that at all, but everybody else is looking at all the realtors who are, to stay top of mind when that's the place that so many people are spending their time. It's really important to make sure that a little bit of the engagement you do have is just that reminder of this is me and I want some of your mind share.
Mm-hmm.
A little tip on that is when you have someone that owns a little store in the farmer's market or anything, right? There's some kind of business owner, a painter or anything else, and if they post something up online that's interesting and you share it, and you say, hey, big shout out to so-and-so for posting this. This is incredible information because of this. He's one of the best painters I know. That person is just beaming now, and they think, wow, that person basically referred me to that, and that law of reciprocity gets initiated, but you add value to your network, you reminded them, and people love people that share and talk about their businesses.
Sure.
So the next question we're going to talk about is challenges. And Natalie, I want to start with you, and I almost want to name your challenge for you. But I remember having a conversation with you. You can talk about anything else, but I want to start with this. But I remember being you're doing so well. I'm where's this business coming from? And you said, when I started out, I had all of these people that I knew that were absolutely, you're my realtor, I will buy and sell with you. And you're none of these people have used me at all. This big pipeline I thought I was going to have completely disappeared. And I can only imagine that would have been a challenge, right? Yeah,
so again, I had a little bit of time leading up to when I got licensed, so certainly, I'm not advertising, but everybody that I knew that I was leaving my job and I was going to become a realtor. I had half a dozen names who were going to buy or sell within 6 months. I'm set. I don't even need to do anything else. 6 deals, I'm good, right? Nobody has bought or sold who was on the original list. And I still think that, again, by staying in their consciousness, I still think that these are for the long game and they will eventually buy or sell and I'm going to be their person. But like, it was trying to plan where the money was coming from. When you're a new agent and you are used to a paycheck, and there's no paycheck until you, not even just like sign somebody up, until the deal closes. And so, I'm trying to estimate, okay, this guy's going to do a deal within 3 months. Perfect. That's April's paycheck. And none of them have done what I thought that they would. So that was definitely, and I don't know, challenge. It was surprising because like I was
Plus
that
the money you were
confident.
banking on
exactly.
too, right? Like,
and so
a
I've
bit of a
also
cushion.
learned not to bank on money until you've actually got the deal because
Yeah.
there's
And conditions are waived.
and conditions are waived
Yes.
and like everything is dealt with. Yeah. So that was the deals that I've had have not been where I thought the deals would be.
Tell us other challenges to overcome, because you said it took 4 months. Like your first 4 months, nothing happened.
Yeah, so certainly a challenge to plan the financial side of things. Clearly for a new agent, and Sunny was talking about not spending a lot of money on marketing. And so it's a challenge when you're a new agent, I think, to decide, I've got this much of a pile of money to spend. Where is it going? Is it marketing? Is it supplies? Is it color ink for my printer? If it gets really to that point. So I definitely think it's a challenge in the early days because you don't know where to spend your time and your money. And you probably have more time at that point than you do money. And so I did learn some of the stuff. I think it was in the practicum or the bachelor's, we talked about the marketing mix. You don't need to do everything. Pick certain things. So open houses was huge for me. I had time. I genuinely like people and like houses, and I didn't have a lot of money. So that was a good option.
Yeah. Sunny, same question. Challenges.
Challenges, I'd say, going from a 9 to 5 to self-employed, and a lot of my friends were in the 9 to 5. It can get tough when you have that free time during the day, and you don't have a lot of people to communicate with or touch base. So it's all of a sudden, if you're not closing deals, you can start being hard on yourself. You can say, what am I doing, or is this even working out for me? So once again, leaving the house, and I'd say like really socializing and communicating with people. It's I don't know, I'm trying to think of some of the other really tough challenges here.
That's good. Well, even that, because you said earlier, you have to trust the process.
Yeah.
And doubt can be a huge problem.
Yeah.
Because you said you have all this free time, and when you have this free time, you have time to think.
Yeah.
You have time to doubt. You
Beat
have
yourself up.
you actually have all this stuff, and we think ourselves to death sometimes, and you need to have a process to trust the process.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure about your process, speak to a manager about that. But good for you for committing to it and staying through that grind.
Yeah.
So, and I like the fact that you said you were having, and Natalie, you did this as well, is you were having real estate related conversations with people. Because it's very easy to have kids at home and you're having conversations about Paw Patrol, and you're having conversations about Monster High, or you're having or with parents about various things that their children are doing. You're not having business conversations, and that can take your head out of the game. It's important to have diversity in your life, but you do need to be focused on your vocation.
So actually, one other piece is I found it's so important to surround yourself around other like-minded people.
Totally.
So people that are constantly pushing you to do better, or just having a lot of positivity in your life, like that will excel you. That'll keep you going. I'm such a strong believer with who you surround yourself around is the way that you're going to be, right? So it's sometimes you have to start, whether it's negative friends or family or whoever it might be, you have to drown out the noise and really focus in on what's important to you, right? So to me, it was having that flexibility of time, having more money, having a lot of control over your life. So, your parents tell you when you're younger, right? Like, surround yourself around better friends or surround yourself around this and that.
Yeah.
And I found that's made a huge impact on my business, is just surrounding myself around other very successful people that have
love
done
that.
well.
You know, I'm a super emotional person, but it's unbelievable when someone says something that isn't super supportive or questions or, gives you a bad look. Like, it's just unbelievable what little things like that can do when you're in a positive mindset, and then just instantly you get a bit of self-doubt. And sometimes that self-doubt can just perpetuate the entire day.
For
and
sure.
that's all you think about versus surrounding yourself with people who are like going to be the first people to compliment you and tell you that you're doing a good job.
For sure.
So I think that's huge. Good
Yeah.
for you. Let's talk about some motivations. Natalie, I love yours because it is like a super short, sweet sentence.
Yeah, I asked before we filmed this if this was too blunt, but I have a mortgage to pay and 2 kids to feed. So there's my motivation. I gave up a salaried, long-time career, cold turkey, and went into self-employment with no backstop. Like, I mean, this is me doing this, and I have to get up every day and go to work.
Yeah.
There's stuff that needs to get bought.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That sure does make a difference, doesn't
Oh
it?
yeah, sorry, that is extremely motivating.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially, we were talking about that earlier. It's like when everyone's relying on you, like that's a huge motivation.
Yeah.
We have some troubles with people that got steady income, spouses, whatever else, that are
Totally.
paying the bills, and it's like you need to find something bigger than yourself to work for. And you do, you got kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I gotta, this is way bigger than myself. I was a single guy, had an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment with 1 room rented out. So I had a roommate, and I needed $2,000 a month to live. That's all I needed. And if I made that, I was totally good. And it's really difficult to motivate yourself when you do a deal and you're like, that's 3 months of my expenses. It's tough to rise to that. So you have to come up with other stuff. So good for you. And that's because that can get you through those tough times.
Yeah.
You feel like stuff isn't working.
Oh, for sure. Like I mean, there wasn't a lot of quit. Like I had to do what I could to make it work.
Amazing.
For you.
Sunny,
What was the question?
what keeps you going? What's that motivation that kept you going at the beginning when things get a little bit tough, you get that doubt? What keeps you pushing forward?
I always think about going back to the bank and that 9 to 5 feeling. I do not want to be
So
back
here's your
there, right?
alternative.
So yeah, there's my alternative, right? So it's I've been really enjoying the flexibility, the having control of my own life. Like, I do not want to go back to that other lifestyle and being stuck to that 9 to 5. 3 weeks of holidays in a year. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Oh, that's good. Tell us about plans and goals over the next couple of years. Sunny, we'll start with you. What is your plans and goals moving forward from where you are right now?
Right now, I just want to really just continue focusing on my business, just continuing to grow my clients, listings, things like that. Obviously, I would love to be a top producing agent in the company.
Yeah.
But really just staying focused, because like you said, when you close a deal and you're like, oh, I'm great for 3 months now, right? I had that stretch, actually. I had a whole bunch of deals that closed and, kind of started sitting back a little bit. And I was like, things are going to be great. I'm killing it. I'm doing so well. And, I started vacationing a little bit more, but I noticed quickly that if you lose focus, that things start drying up, you lose out on connections. Other realtors start reminding some of your clients that they're realtors.
Oh, yeah.
And so really staying consistent, because you can go away from your system that's been working so quick, and you start realizing you'll start losing clients, or other people are swooping in there. So I'm back at staying consistent with my open houses, reaching out to my clients, picking up the phone and just saying, hey, how's it going? How's that house that we bought not too long ago?
Yeah.
So, right now my goal is just staying focused and just continuing with what I'm doing,
Fantastic.
and not veering off track.
Now, Natalie, you're still in that first year goal
Yeah.
of what you're doing. Have you reset your expectations at all? Still stay the course? Where you're at now, plans, goals in the next couple of years?
So for the current year, I'm where I'm at. I'd like one a month, and yet I realized that, I mean, Sunny said that was a pretty, for him, that felt lofty. I don't know if I'll get there, but I'm certainly, that is my goal. I think if I get there, then I think in the following year, I would like to double.
Yeah.
Ideally, and I don't know that I'll get there. That's still, frankly, I haven't made this year's goal yet, so I'm not sure what the following year
I saw your
looks at.
post though, and you were saying you're on track. And,
I
and
am on
beating
track.
it,
Like,
and
I
it's-
mean,
it's
I'm on
amazing.
track, and yet you can have 4 months with nothing, and then you can have 1 month with 5. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, based on the number of months in the year and the number of deals, I'm on track, but I
Yeah.
know that that can change pretty quickly. I guess I still think I have a lot to learn. Like, I don't know how to, the retaining the clients. So I've had clients and they've bought this year. They are not buying next year.
Right.
I know that. We've talked about that. But I don't want to lose them, because either through the referral system, like
Yeah.
if they have other people, or they will eventually buy. So I need to work on, I guess my goal will be figuring out how that works going forward, because that's new. I've only dealt with current clients. I haven't really dealt with people from 5 years and then finding a way to get them back. And yeah, like more of the same. I mean, something that I've done is I try to do something really uncomfortable for me, probably at least once a week, but maybe it doesn't happen. Like there's certain things that I'm not a cold caller or that, like I'm really good once I get working with somebody, but I struggle at that, to pick up the phone and make those first calls. And so I'm
Yeah.
trying to pull myself out of my comfort zone, because I think to get from this year's goal to next year's goal, I need a lot more of the getting out of my comfort zone.
Right.
Good for
Stuff.
you. That's good self-awareness.
Yeah,
Really
I know
good
what I
self-awareness.
know what I like to do, and I know
Yeah.
what I don't like to do, and I also know that what I don't like to do will help my business. Like I sent handwritten cards to my massage therapist and my hairdresser when I got
Lovely.
licensed. And I didn't know I knew their last names, but that was it. I knew where they worked. I sent it care of their business, just reintroducing myself as a licensed realtor. And that's not like something, that's not comfortable for me.
Yeah.
I like working with the people that I know or that have approached me at an open house. I'm a little less out there.
Yeah. Well, when it comes, we'll meet to talk about the client follow-up stuff.
Okay, good.
We'll come up with a plan.
Okay, good.
I have one for you.
Oh, okay.
I have
Done.
instantly
Yeah.
done. So I guess let's end it off with talking about some advice that you would give to people watching right now. And I don't even want to say new realtors, because there's a lot of realtors watching right now that have not achieved what you've achieved deal-wise this year, who may have been in the business for the past 3-4 years. So not just new agent advice, but people watching being like, I don't have anything in the fires right now. I'm a little bit miserable. I don't know what to do. I'd like to leave this meeting with a bit of an agenda for today that's going to empower me, give me a couple action items that are going to set me on track for maybe getting something a few weeks down the road. What would you say you should spend even this afternoon doing?
Well, not thinking about the afternoon, but going back to the weekends, right? Like, are you spending your weekends, going out with friends, kind of enjoying the sun during the day, or are you going to stick to your open houses? Because if you can't generate business, for sure people are going to be walking through those open houses that are looking at homes or potentially selling. Actually, just this past weekend, I had one person who's came back to the open house twice now that I was doing, and he's also got a home that he's thinking about listing in Dalhousie. Doesn't have a realtor that he's working with. We exchanged numbers, and I'm going to be meeting up with him this week. On that same street, there's another listing that's listed by another agent, another brokerage, and it's a builder. And we were both doing open house at the same time, and the builder went to his, and then he came and walked into mine, and I showed him the home, and we started chatting, and he just loved the way that I was presenting things and painting the picture for the client as they walk through, as opposed to just opening the door and closing it. And by the end of it, he was just like, hey, can I get your information? I'd love to go to lunch with you. And
Good story.
So it's really staying consistent and not just opening the door and closing it, because clients that are walking through the open house, what you tell them and the picture that you paint for them is what they're going to think about.
Yeah.
So really just kind of having an idea of how you want to present the home. But you know, you don't want to be like riding the client in the open house either.
Yeah,
So
totally.
you know, I'll kind of chat with them on the main level, and then if they're going downstairs or upstairs, I'll kind of explain the details and let them know to have a look, and just having a good comfort level.
I think that's so great from the standpoint that to look at that another way, you're always on stage. And you're always on stage from the standpoint, we talked about being in the Starbucks line and getting dressed, and you know, that every client or every person that comes into that open house, every person you meet at an event or a party, you're on stage, and because everyone needs housing. Everyone needs housing, and whether they're renting or anything else like that, but it's just your people are in constant state of judgment of, do you know your stuff? And that's every time someone asks you the question, how's the market or anything. The fact that you treated that person, you know, you told the story, you had the system, and then he recognized that, it's almost like you've been discovered. It's like, try putting yourself in a position to get discovered by more clients, where, you know, you're not going to Hollywood to become the next, you know, actor or something like that, but it's like they're discovering your talents, and I think that's fantastic, where you can be that. I love that concept. You might see that in an upcoming
really good.
course about
That's
position
really
yourself
good.
to be discovered, and that's exactly what you did. You're like, I have this system, it's great, the right person walked in, and there it was. I can attribute so much success in my career, which is why it's resonating that. I picked up a couple high-profile clients who had rental properties, who were dressed in scrubby clothes because they're just out cutting lawns. They walked in, and you know, who knew that he had a dozen properties to sell, and he had, you know, a huge referral network into the, you know, professional world of sports, and it just treated him well. And that's actually how I ended up at CIR too. Same story. It's crazy.
And I have another great story, because I just recently picked up a new client out in Chestermere. I was doing a little bit of construction on this space, and you know, I called the construction worker. They came to my site, and we started chatting. And he asked me, you know, what do you do? I told him I was a realtor, and you know, we started chatting some more. And he was like, oh, well, I was looking to list my place out in Chestermere, and we started chatting a little bit more. And next thing you know, I set up a time to come to his home in the evening that day. Got the address from him, and I pulled the title, prepared all the paperwork already, just left the price blank. And when I showed up to that listing appointment, he was just kind of blown away, right? Like, what do you mean you've already got all this paperwork set up and everything? And he had a realtor that he's been working for like the last 15 years.
Wow.
One realtor. And he's sent referrals to that realtor. He said just like a year ago, he had sent a referral to that realtor, and he closed a sixplex deal with that referral that he sent off. And he said he was trying to get in touch with his realtor for the last week, but he hadn't returned his call. And it just happened to be the perfect timing. So.
And then you ate his lunch.
And then I ate his lunch.
And then you ate his lunch.
Dinner. and his dinner.
And his dinner, yeah.
And now he's looking to sell his home, and he said if he sells his home, he has 3 kids that he wants to give down payments to help buy homes for them as well.
That's
so
unfortunate.
That's so good. That's so good.
So yeah,
You
like you
just
said,
showed
he
up
was
and had the
he was just
conversation.
dressed in construction clothes, just a normal guy.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
You have no idea.
yeah,
Be on stage.
love it. Natalie, what about you? What advice would you give?
Get out there. So, I mean, we've talked about that. So, get out of bed, get out of the house, get out there. Talk to people, because so you're not getting any business sitting at home by yourself,
Right.
probably. And so just putting yourself out there to create the opportunities to talk about what you do. And again, you can't be the person at the party who immediately hands out their business card and looks for the referrals. Like there's certain ways of going about it. I had a deal closed 2 weeks ago, and one of the buyers works at my children's orthodontist office. So this was one of those, like, I was in there for an orthodontist appointment.
Yes.
And frankly, it was because I was losing my benefits. And she's like, oh, where are you going? And I said, actually. And so this started back in October. And she wasn't ready to buy in October. And we stayed in touch. And so there's the making yourself available. The other thing would be the adding value. So every time that I reached out to her, And it wasn't daily. I think I have a pretty good feel for people on how often they want that. She wasn't buying right then, and yet she was interested enough in the buying stuff to give me her name and her email address. So I'd reach out like once a month, and I would like find a reason to reach out with something that would add value. So, you know, I know you're a first-time buyer, you don't have a place to sell, you haven't gotten a mortgage before. Mortgage rates actually just dropped. So, you know, by the way, you can get a pre-approval so that even if you're not ready to buy today, your pre-approval is going to cover you for a period of time. And every time we got a little bit closer to her being more interested. So there's the putting yourself out there and creating those opportunities, whether it's at an open house or a less formal.
Yeah.
One of my listings right now, I was an acquaintance with the seller's daughter, and I ran into her at the grocery store. And we were getting caught up at the grocery store. She's like, oh, what are you doing now? Oh, actually, oh, my dad needs to sell. Great, so it's those things. And then the other component is the adding value. If I'm at an open house and I'm having a good conversation with somebody and I say, you know, the inevitable question, are you working with somebody? And more often than not these days, they tell you that they are, whether or not they are. And when they tell me that they are, I still keep talking to them.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't like, I'm not offended. If you're working with somebody, that's great. I hope they provide you really good advice, really good service. While you're looking around this place, if you have any questions, if you want more information about the neighborhood, I'd love to give it to you. They may be working with somebody, and that's cool. They may not be. They may have been trying to get rid of me.
Yes.
But the fact that I'm not offended and I'm still just trying to have a conversation, it's not about what they're doing today or how much money I would make off this person. It's about having a conversation with them. And so two things can happen. They can actually have an agent. They think, oh, that person was really cool.
Yeah.
Cool, she didn't offend me. Or they may not have an agent, and they're like, huh, she wasn't pushy. She added value. She told me something about the neighborhood, something about the house, something about mortgage rates. She just seemed genuinely interested. And then we have a connection somehow.
And their agent may not return their call.
Right. Well,
Their
there's
agent
always
may
that.
not- and if Sonny had asked and said, oh, are you working with an agent? The guy's like, yeah, I've had a guy, great, best friend of mine for 15 years. And all of a sudden Sonny's just like, oh, okay, well, forget about it then. And it's like, and then everybody's, you know, everyone's a tire kicker. It's just like, come on. Like you just never know. I love what you said. We had another agent I was talking to a little while ago that's just like, well, I just said I was going to do investment reviews for everybody, just do real estate reviews. It's like, I didn't know what to do. I just said I'm going to do open houses, but I'm going to do these investment reviews, and just called up every one of his clients, created these binders to do the investment reviews like Chloe was talking about, and just did it all and got so busy. Like with listings, he's like took like 6 listings out of it, and then he stopped doing the investment reviews, but he's going to get back at it. He said he's going to get back at it, but it was just amazing how this works. You just get out there and you do it, and hold on to this stuff, because you guys will have a point in your business, and you'll have moments where you're so busy. Don't forget about the stuff that worked in the first place. And I love how both of you just put yourselves out there. You guys have gotten it, and like I said, it's every realtor had an opportunity to pick up a lot of these people. But now you guys were the ones in the opportunity. Put yourself in the right position to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, you guys. And quick note, Natalie and Sunny obviously love having conversations. So if you see them in the office or you want to reach out to have a coffee, I know both of you enough to know that you'd be thrilled to sit down and have a conversation with an agent at any time.
Anytime.
And so that's that. Reach out. And this, if you want to rewatch this video, it'll be posted on the virtual office. You can also listen to it as a podcast, CIR Business Mastery Podcast, so you can listen to it in your car. And that's that. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and hope you have a fantastic week.
All the best, and thank you again, Natalie.
Thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.